Welcome to In It to Win It. This is Steve Barton, and thank you for tuning in. We are here at the 2026 Rule Symposium in Boca Raton, and I'm here with Alex Horsley of Emperor Metals. Alex, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir. Okay, I'd like to start these out. Market cap, cash, and debt of Emperor Metals.
So the market cap today is probably just over 60 million Canadian. No debt. We've got about $5.4 million Canadian in cash.
Okay, 16 million, 1-6?
Cash position?
No, market cap is
Market cap is about 60 million.
Oh, 60.
yeah,
Okay,
60.
okay. I was like, when I looked it over, I didn't think it was 16. I was like, okay, 60. 60 million market cap, 5.4 million cash, and
Yes,
zero
sir.
debt.
You got it.
Okay. And tell us about the team. Tell us about the team at Emperor Metals.
Yeah, so the team is comprised of some highly technical geologists and mining engineers. So our CEO, John Florek, is a professional geologist with 35 years of experience. So he spent his first half of his career in exploration, second half in production. So he comes from companies like Plasterdome, Agnico Eagle, Barrick, BHP. He's a director of McEwen Inc. right now with our largest shareholder, Rob McEwen. So he's more important than anybody. This guy was part of the team that got Developer of the Year award in 2008 at Hemlo, and built Zone C, adding 12 years of mine life.
Huh.
That's something he did prior to me meeting him in 2010. And then I caught up with him when he was working at Detour, and he actually built the team and the grade control model of the Detour Lake mine that Agnico Eagle are producing at today. One of 5 projects that'll produce 1 million ounces of gold a year. He increased the amount of gold going through the mill by 20% for the same volume of rock. So when I caught up with him in 2018, 2019, I was just so impressed with what he's accomplished that I knew I wanted to work with him. So we co-founded Emperor Metals in early 2020, took it public in 2021. We got Chairman John Williamson, who's built Discovery Group with John Robbins, later built Metals Group, helping founded Thesis Gold, Founders Metals. He brings a lot of credibility to us, just having so much success in this business. Ian Harris, who's at the Rule Symposium with us as well, from Copper Giant out of Fiore Camp. He's our mining engineer. He took Oriente towards production, subsequently taken out for $690 million. So you've got this vast technical experience, specifically focused on a long history of growing resources in gold, production, and a significant amount of M&A. I'm a promoter, so I'm the guy who goes to all these conferences, meets with investors, raises money, involved in branding and marketing. So it's a very well-oiled machine. We put a lot of money into this company, and we're incentivized to create market cap and value creation for everybody.
You know, I interviewed John last year here.
Yeah.
And he kind of reminds me of one of those guys that's almost like a savant. Like he's a little bit too smart, you know. He was talking to me about the technology that you guys have using AI to try to predict where these things are going to go. I didn't understand what he's saying. Can you put that kind of in?
John is one of the. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
John is one of the smartest geologists I've ever met.
Okay.
I would refer to him as a generational geologist.
Okay.
Thank God he's too smart. So he actually used AI in its infancy in resource modeling, which is why we talked about Detour.
Yeah.
And he actually got an award for this a few years ago for Emperor's Model he created. And this is what I told Rob McEwen years ago. I'm like, take a meeting with us. You have to meet John.
Yeah.
I know you're Mr. Innovation,
Yeah.
and you're going to love this guy. The worst case, you're going to learn something new. So what he does is, to answer your question, is what AI does for all of us that are using ChatGPT or Grok, is it accelerates with speed.
Yeah.
You can create these models in a few months, whereas it could take a team of geologists years to compilate all this data.
Yeah.
These things are making decisions, thousands of them in a split second.
Yeah.
So we create models very quickly, and it helps to get more information faster and guide targeting. And we've been extraordinarily successful at doing that with the results we've seen over the last 3 years. So it's part of our edge. It's not just like, hey, we're using AI, gimmicky part of a marketing tactic.
Yeah.
It is a part of our success. And these guys, AI is only as good as the inputs, the data sets that you give it.
Yeah.
And these guys are really good at organizing the data, interpreting it, them being damn good geologists that they are,
Yeah.
and using that to be successful.
Okay.
So you're only as good as the geologist that's using it.
Yeah, that's programming.
Yeah,
the
he
inputs.
just happens to be a world expert.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. One thing I've learned from Rick and other guys is that the first investment case or the first thing that you need to look at when it comes to a company are the people that are behind it.
Absolutely.
So you've got a savant, as I'll call him, at the helm. And I got to say, I was telling my guys, I was like, that guy's an animal. Last year here, we had our booth in the same spot, I believe, and you were right over there. And you were one of the first guys here on the floor every day, one of the last to leave.
Well, I can't have Rick Rule mad at me. He wants me at the booth the whole time, and I will do that. I'm always the first guy here, the last to leave. The way I see it is you got a limited amount of time in this world,
Yeah.
and you got to use it.
Yeah.
If there's one investor that can be an investor in the next private placement and we get that extra meter,
Yeah.
or he happens to buy a position and it goes up, and I am going to do everything for this company in my power to make sure we succeed. I've gone all in on it, and there's no boat waiting for me to save me. We're all in.
Yeah. Good work ethic. Okay, let's go over share structure. Give us the colored pie chart. What's it look like?
Yeah, so we have almost 195 million issued and outstanding. I think it's something like 244 million, 242 million fully diluted. So there's 29 million-ish warrants out there. 80% of those are at 35 cents. Our stock's about 32. So I don't see an overhang until, hopefully the stock is 45.50, and then those get exercised. But that would bring in $7 million of cash. Options with management. We got Rick Rule as a shareholder. Rob McEwen has come into every private placement since he came in 2024. So he owns 7% of the company. Peter Michael Brown, guy who built Canaccord, Canadian Hall of Famer, is a shareholder. Brian Lundeen, Chen Lin, Jeff Clark, some prominent newsletter writers, Robert Sin, some other people I can't talk about, don't like to be disclosed, but some exceptional shareholders, big mining, billionaire investors that are supporting John and I to advance it.
Okay, and what percentage of the company do you and John own?
So I'm put about 360 grand of my own cash into the company. I own about 2.5%. John is probably just under that.
Okay.
As I founded the company, was the original CEO. But John and I are putting our own money into the deal and putting our money where our mouth is.
Success.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And what percentage of the pie is available to people watching the show to retail?
I would say in the public, the real retail float out there, probably about 30%.
Okay.
Because we have really strong relationships with the institutions and big investors that we mentioned that are in, and high net worth investors that we're close to, and a lot of them are here.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me is turning over the float, getting in the hands of the right long-term investors that are aligned with our vision, and that'll help us get a better re-rating.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So about 3 out of 10 shares is available to retail.
Something like that.
All right. Scalability, size of the prize. What are you looking for? Reserves and resources. Talk to me about how big this can get.
So actually, same time last year, we came out with our first 43-101 for Emperor on the Duquesne West flagship. So as it stands, there's an inferred resource of 1.46 million ounces of gold. Now, with the drilling spacing, we believe on the next resource update, potentially 30 to 40% of that could be measured and indicated. But we're going to deliver 32% more drilling data of assays. So that should grow significantly. Probably we'll have an updated resource by March of next year.
Okay.
And then we're probably going to consider a preliminary economic assessment report to slap some economics on this, and as Rick says, answer those unanswered questions,
Yeah.
which I think is the most important. And really, that's going to determine what institutions and big investors are going to do. Yeah.
Okay. So 1.46 right now.
Million
inferred.
ounces. Yes. We also do have a secondary asset as well,
Okay.
which is permitted for production, Lac Pelletier, that we're going to drill this fall, and we'll update the resource. It's had a feasibility study done, but we're probably going to do a PFS, pre-feasibility study, because our intentions are to take it in production, hopefully in 2028, to self-finance our own drilling, exploration, and M&A ambitions.
Okay. That'll be your cash coming in once that
Yes.
thing's producing.
Yeah.
Okay. What is what's the reserves and resources of the second one? What was the name of the second
Yeah,
one?
Lac Pelletier. They're
Lac
both in the
Pelletier.
Abitibi Greenstone Belt. It's south of Duquesne West,
Yeah.
south of Juan Noranda. Probably didn't pronounce that right, but it's got 227,000 ounces of gold, historically at about 4 grams of gold per ton. It's an underground mine. It's got a portal, mining drifts, ventilation shaft. We want to drill probably 2,000 to 3,000 meters to do some confirmation drilling and fill, and then update the resource, which should be done hopefully early 2027.
Okay. All right. Okay. You already mentioned it. The unanswered question. What's the unanswered question? The biggest unanswered question facing.
I want to know what the PEA is going to look like on Duquesne West.
Yeah.
I want to see the rest of the drilling results. There's so many unanswered questions. We're an advanced explorer trying to get this thing hopefully to production one day. There's a lot of unanswered questions before me. The biggest thing is seeing what the next resource update looks like on Duquesne West, the resource update on Lac Pelletier, and ultimately the PEA on Duquesne West and PFS on Lac Pelletier.
Okay.
At this time. And then I'll have more unanswered questions after that.
Yeah.
It never ends.
Yeah, of course it's mining. What does the infrastructure look like up in the Abitibi where you guys are, where these two deposits are? It sounds like one's pretty far along. The other one, Duquesne.
So
what's it look like?
I was just listening to Dominic Girard at the Precious Metals Panel, CEO of Agnico Eagle, and they surround us, I think, with 9 producing mines. There's infrastructure everywhere. Power, water, Wanderanda with a working force of miners, explorationists, mills, tailings ponds, absolutely everything. So it's a probably top 3 global mining jurisdiction. If we go in production, probably we'll be utilizing someone else's infrastructure and mill and just taking ore to them. Conceivably, if the stars align and we achieve everything, maybe we'd have to build our own mill. But the cost to do that, rather than being in the middle of the mountain in the Golden Triangle or some of these places that are very remote and don't have this kind of infrastructure, the costs, in my opinion, are going to be so much lower that really, the first thing I thought about when I built the company was right team. The next thing was jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Where are we going to be focused? You're not going to get a better place than the southern Abitibi Greenstone Belt of Quebec.
Yeah.
It's the perfect place.
Yeah. Okay. Not gonna. What keeps you up at night? What could go wrong?
I mean, delivering for my family and shareholders. That keeps me up at night, because without them, nothing means anything. Of course, I worry about what the next drilling results are going to look like and what the market's going to do. But I don't believe in life you should worry about things that are out of your control. I believe in the team and their decision-making technically. The progress and results that we're hitting are so consistent and good that I just believe that the gold's there and we just need to drill it and find it. But I'm so busy with my kids and work. I'm so tired at night. I just fall asleep, to be honest with you.
It doesn't keep you up.
No, I'm all in. So I feel pretty comfortable, and I'm determined to either fall on the sword or be a big success. But I just want to win for shareholders. That's the most important thing to me.
Okay. One thing that excites me about interviewing guys a little closer to my age than to Rick's age is,
Yeah.
is we have some runway with you.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see
You
what
probably
happens.
got another 30 years.
Yeah, I've been in the industry for 20. I'm going to be 40 in January.
Okay.
And the thing is, no one's going to retire from this industry.
Yeah.
It's too fun, too addictive. You,
Yeah.
you see your friends at all the shows.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You got to get lucky sometimes, but I believe a man, woman creates their own luck.
Yeah.
And you just got to have a defined purpose. You can never give up. You got to have tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And John and I are going to continue to move down that path.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. If anything I should have asked that I didn't, any closing thoughts?
Honestly, you asked every intelligent question. We're, at the Super Bowl of investor conferences, super grateful to be a part of this show and to be here at the Rule Symposium. Rick Rule's been probably my biggest blessing. 15 years ago, I studied everything he was telling investors and educating them on this is what I have to see to make an investment.
Yeah.
And I wrote down every single thing, and that was the blueprint for Emperor Metals. So it's kind of serendipitous to be here talking about it because I had a vision to make him a shareholder, Peter Brown, Rob McEwen, and I'm going to find you, Eric Sprott. I'm looking. But it's a surreal moment to be here with you talking about it and the story. And so thank you.
Tell us about that story. How did you you were here at Rick's Symposium when you heard him outline this, or was it somewhere else?
Last year we were at the Rule Symposium, got invited, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
Rick did his due diligence on us. I've been chasing this guy talking about Emperor for 4 years. I'm sure annoying. You call me an animal, like I'll go after every big investor. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not intimidated.
Yeah.
So it took 3 years to get this in front of me, introduced me to Dave Wargo and SCP, helped us raise $11 million in like 24 hours. So his support has been extraordinary.
Yeah. Okay, but I mean, going back to the 15 years ago.
Yes.
And you were basically giving yourself the blueprint of what to do.
Yes.
From the guru.
Yeah.
Tell that story. How did that happen?
I was at a Canaccord event, and it was the first time I saw Rick.
Okay.
And it's just like this larger than life. It's like watching Jack Nicholson perform. It's just like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know the guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just the smartest guy in the business and a blessing to educate all us. And I just sat there just in a trance. This is what the management team's got to look like. Right share structure, right jurisdiction, right grade, thickness. If it doesn't got every single thing check mark, I ain't buying it.
Yeah.
So it stood with me. I'm like, okay, got to find the right technical people. Got to make sure we're in the right place. It's got to be the right timing. Just everything was just ingrained in my brain.
Yeah.
And when I was formulating early days Emperor, there would be no Emperor Metals without Rick Rule. He's the man.
Yeah. There's something to that when you write down your goals and when you write down, a blueprint like you're talking about. I've done that in so many areas in my life with my business now. Before I used to be a semi-professional poker player.
Oh, interesting.
And
We'll have to play sometime.
Yeah. I did the same thing with that. I literally took the best in the world and emulated what they did.
Yeah.
And it
Absolutely.
gets rid of all those silly lessons that you don't have to learn because they just taught you what to do.
Great men stood on the backs of giants.
Yeah.
And I study my mentors like you studied your mentors.
Yeah.
And I'm a big reader. Like Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
I take these lessons and I execute. You're only as good as your mastermind group. You have to have defined purpose.
Yeah.
You have to have tunnel vision. You can never give up. You've got to sacrifice. You got to get up every single day and go to war, and that's what I do.
Yeah, awesome. Alex, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thanks, brother.
This was a pleasure. I'm excited. Okay, give us your website. How can they follow you and get a hold of you?
EmperorMetals.com. My phone number's there. Give me a call.
Okay, all right. You heard from the man himself. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you want to get the replays of the 2026 Rule Symposium, there will be a link down below. For more, go to stevebartonmoney.com. Thank you very much for tuning in. You have a wonderful rest of your day and happy trading. For more content like this, check out these videos right here.